The last time Admiral Sarath felt fear, she was 7 years old and watching her first execution. Now, 40 years later, she stood in the Hall of Sovereigns reading a single line of text that made her feel like that child again. "The Void Legion is gone." She read it 3 times. The words refused to make sense. The Void Legion did not lose. They could not lose. 10,000 warriors, each one gene-spliced from birth to be perfect killing machines. 9 feet of armored carapace, 6 limbs designed for death, neural links that let them share thoughts in combat. They had conquered 1,100 worlds. They had ended 37 species. They had never, in 12,000 years of Dominion history, failed a mission. And now they were gone. High Sovereign Malachar had summoned her personally. This alone told Sarath how serious things had become. In her entire career, she had never spoken directly to the Sovereign. He ruled from shadows and silence, letting his generals handle the dirty work of empire. The throne room was cold. Malachar sat on a seat carved from the bones of extinct species, his ancient body wrapped in ceremonial robes. He was old beyond counting, kept alive by machines and stolen organs, and his eyes held the weight of millennia. "You have read the report," he said, not a question. "I have read what little exists." Sarath kept her voice steady. "The Legion entered the system of the species called humans. They engaged. All contact was lost within 6 standard days." 6 days. Malachar's claws tapped against bone. 6 days to destroy our greatest weapon. Do you understand what this means, Admiral? Sarath understood. The Dominion ruled through fear. Other species obeyed because they knew resistance meant the Void Legion would come. If word spread that the Legion had been defeated, if other worlds learned that the Dominion could bleed, everything would collapse. "I need to know what happened," Malachar continued. "I am giving you full authority to investigate, find out how this primitive species destroyed the Legion, find their weakness, and then prepare our fleets for the extinction of humanity." Sarath bowed and left the throne room. Her mind was already working through possibilities. The humans were a young species, barely spacefaring. Their homeworld was a small blue planet in an unremarkable system. Initial scans had shown basic technology, short lifespans, and fragile bodies. They should have been easy prey. She accessed the last transmissions from the Legion fleet. Most were corrupted or incomplete, but a few fragments remained. The first was from Legion Commander Draxus, recorded as his fleet exited slipspace above the human world. His voice was calm, almost bored. "Arriving at target. Initial scans show minimal orbital defenses. Estimated conquest time, 4 hours." The second transmission came 3 hours later. Draxus sounded different, confused. "The humans were waiting for us. They have technology that should not exist. Engaging now." The third transmission was 12 hours after that. Draxus was screaming. In the background, Sarath could hear explosions and the death cries of Legion warriors. "They will not stop. We kill them and more come. Request immediate reinforcement." There was no fourth transmission. Sarath pulled up everything the Dominion knew about humans. It was not much. They were soft-bodied bipeds with no natural weapons. They lived short lives, rarely more than 100 years. They had only recently developed space travel and had not expanded beyond their home system. But something in the data caught her attention. A note from the original scout team: "Species shows unusual aggression patterns. Recommend caution." The scouts had been dismissed. What could soft, short-lived creatures possibly do against the Void Legion? Sarath dug deeper. She found recordings from the scout ship, observations of the human world taken from a safe distance. She watched humans going about their lives, working, building, raising their young. And then she found footage of what humans called war. They fought each other, constantly. Their entire history was blood and fire and death. They had weapons designed to kill thousands at once. They had perfected the art of destruction over countless generations. One phrase appeared again and again in their communications, translated imperfectly into Dominion language: total war. Sarath did not know what it meant. But watching the humans tear each other apart with mechanical efficiency, she felt that childhood fear creeping back. She composed her preliminary report for the Sovereign. The humans are not what we expected. They appear weak, but they have been fighting since they first existed. They do not fight like other species. They do not fight to survive. They fight to win, no matter the cost. She paused before adding the final line. I believe the Void Legion underestimated them. I recommend we do not make the same mistake. The report was sent. Sarath stood alone in her quarters, staring at a star map. Somewhere out there in that tiny system was a species that had done the impossible. She needed to know how. More importantly, she needed to know if they could be stopped. Because if the humans could destroy the Void Legion, there was nothing in the Dominion that could stand against them. And sooner or later, they would come looking for answers about the army that tried to conquer their world. When that day came, Sarath wanted to be ready. Recovered footage played on the screen, and Admiral Sarath watched the Void Legion die. The recording came from Commander Draxus's helmet camera. It began as his fleet dropped out of slipspace, 10 massive warships carrying 10,000 of the most dangerous soldiers in the galaxy. Through Draxus's eyes, Sarath saw the human world for the first time. Blue and green and white spinning slowly in the darkness. It looked peaceful, harmless. Then the tactical display lit up with warnings. Commander detecting multiple contacts. The voice belonged to Draxus's second, a warrior named Thesic. Human vessels, approximately 200. 200 ships. The humans should not have had 20. Draxus's confusion was clear in his voice. How is this possible? Our scouts reported minimal space capability. The scouts were here 3 cycles ago, Commander. The humans appear to have prepared. Sarath paused the footage. 3 cycles, roughly 6 months in human time. In 6 months, they had built a fleet from almost nothing. She made a note of this. Humans could adapt quickly, very quickly. The footage resumed. Draxus was hailing the human fleet, delivering the standard Dominion ultimatum. Surrender and serve or die resisting. It had worked on 1,000 species before. A human voice responded. Female comm speaking through a translator. Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Rosa Winters of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered sovereign human space. State your intentions or leave immediately. Draxus laughed. Sarath could hear the contempt in it. Little creature, you do not give orders to the Dominion. Your world belongs to us now. Lower your defenses and perhaps some of you will be allowed to live. A pause, then the human spoke again. We choose option 3. There is no option 3. There is now. The human fleet opened fire. Sarath had watched countless battles. She had seen species fight desperately for survival, throwing everything they had at Dominion forces in final, futile stands. She had never seen anything like this. The humans did not fight like prey, they fought like predators. Their ships were ugly, built for function over form. They lacked the elegant curves of Dominion vessels, the graceful lines that showed technological superiority. They were boxes and angles and bristling weapons. And they were deadly. Draxus's fleet had superior shields, superior weapons, superior everything. But the humans did not seem to care. They took losses without hesitation, sacrificing ships to gain position. They adapted to Dominion tactics within minutes, changing their approach as soon as they identified a pattern. They are learning, Thesic said in the footage. Commander, they are learning faster than any species I have seen. A human ship, badly damaged and leaking atmosphere, suddenly accelerated toward a Dominion cruiser. Draxus realized what was happening a moment too late. Evasive action. The human ship rammed the cruiser at full speed. Both vessels disappeared in a ball of fire. They killed themselves, Thesic whispered. They deliberately killed themselves to destroy one of our ships. More suicide runs followed. Humans flew their dying vessels directly into Dominion ships, ensuring that even their deaths caused damage. The tactical display showed Dominion losses mounting. 3 ships gone, then 5, then 7. Draxus made the decision that sealed his fate. All units, planetary assault. We cannot win in orbit. We will take the fight to the surface. It was sound logic. The Void Legion was bred for ground combat. No species had ever defeated them on land. Their massive bodies, their armored hides, their neural links that let them coordinate perfectly. On the ground, they were unstoppable. The drop pods launched. Sarath watched through Draxus's camera as he fell toward the human world, atmospheric fire burning around him. Below, the planet's surface grew larger. He was heading for a region of white and gray, cold lands, frozen terrain. Commander, an analyst's voice cut in. The humans call this region Siberia. Temperatures are extreme, -40 standard. The cold will not stop us. Sarath knew what Draxus did not. The humans had chosen that battlefield. They had lured the Legion to the most hostile environment on their world, a place where even humans struggled to survive. If humans struggled there, what chance did the Legion have? The footage cut as Draxus's pod hit the ground. 7,000 Void Legion soldiers landed in the frozen wilderness, ready to crush whatever resistance awaited them. They never had a chance. Sarath stopped the playback. She had seen enough for now. The orbital battle told her what she needed to know. Humans did not fight to survive. They fought to win. They sacrificed themselves without hesitation. They learned and adapted faster than any species the Dominion had encountered. And they had been waiting. The scouts had come and gone, thinking the humans were primitive and weak. The humans had watched, learned, and built an entire fleet in months. They had prepared for war while the Dominion prepared for easy conquest. She pulled up the final transmission from the orbital battle. Admiral Winters, the human commander, speaking to the surviving Dominion ships as they fled toward the planet's surface. Tell your masters what happened here. Tell them we don't want war, but if war comes to us, we will finish it. Sarath saved the recording. She would need it for her report. The humans had made their message clear, and somehow Sarath believed them. Ground combat footage was worse than Admiral Sarath had expected. The recordings came from dozens of Void Legion soldiers, pieced together from recovered black boxes. Each one told the same story. 7,000 perfect warriors landed in the frozen human wasteland called Siberia. They expected easy victory. They found something else entirely. The first engagement happened within an hour of landing. A Legion squad of 50 soldiers moved through a forest of dead trees, their massive bodies leaving deep tracks in the snow. Their thermal sensors detected human heat signatures nearby, small, weak, barely visible against the cold. Squad leader Korath gave the order to attack. The Legion charged. The humans opened fire from hidden positions. Their weapons were primitive by Dominion standards, projectile-based rather than energy. But there were so many of them. Bullets filled the air like rain. 3 Legion soldiers fell in the first seconds, their armored carapaces cracked by concentrated fire. The remaining soldiers reached the human line, close combat. This was where the Legion was supreme. Each warrior was bred to kill, equipped with claws that could tear through steel and strength that could crush bones. The humans died quickly, 40 of them against 47 Legion soldiers. It should have been a massacre. It was. But then something strange happened. More humans came, not running, not retreating, coming toward the fight. Fresh soldiers emerging from the frozen forest as if they had been waiting for this exact moment. They are reinforcing, Korath reported. Unknown number, continuing engagement. The Legion fought, they killed. Human bodies piled up in the snow, red blood steaming in the cold air. But for every human that fell, 2 more appeared, and the Legion soldiers began to tire. This was wrong. A Void Legion warrior could fight for 16 hours without rest. They had done it countless times, but the cold was draining them faster than expected. Their joints stiffened, their reactions slowed, and still the humans kept coming. Sarath watched the footage jump forward. The same squad 8 hours later. Only 31 soldiers remained. They had killed over 300 humans, but they were exhausted and more enemy forces were arriving. They are rotating, Korath realized. The humans are rotating fresh troops into combat while their tired ones rest. Commander Draxus, they are not trying to defeat us in single combat. They are trying to exhaust us. No species had ever done this to the Void Legion. Other armies broke and ran. Other armies lost hope. These humans just kept sending more soldiers, keeping the pressure constant, never allowing the Legion to rest or recover. The footage showed what happened next. Artillery fire. The humans had brought heavy weapons, and they used them without hesitation. Even when their own soldiers were still in the kill zone, even when the explosions would claim human lives alongside Legion ones. They are firing on their own troops, a Legion warrior said in disbelief. The humans had a term for it, acceptable losses. They calculated the exchange rate, decided that killing 50 of their own soldiers was worth killing 10 Legion warriors, and gave the order. Cold, logical, terrifying. Sarath found a different recording. A Legion warrior named Sketh, one of the most decorated soldiers in Dominion history. His footage showed him alone, separated from his unit, being hunted through a frozen valley. The humans chased him for 3 days. They worked in shifts. When one group of hunters grew tired, another took their place. They never attacked directly, they just followed, watching, waiting, denying Sketh any chance to sleep or recover. On the 3rd day, Sketh collapsed. His body, pushed beyond all limits, simply stopped functioning. The humans closed in. Sarath expected them to kill him immediately. Instead, they captured him. The footage ended there, but Sarath had read the reports. Sketh was still alive. He was one of hundreds of Legion soldiers who had surrendered rather than die of exhaustion. The humans had taken them prisoner. Why every other species would have executed enemy soldiers, especially soldiers who had come to conquer them, but the humans kept them alive, fed them, treated their wounds. It made no tactical sense. Unless it was a message. Sarath pulled up Commander Draxus's final transmission. He was wounded, dragging himself through the snow, his audio pickup capturing his ragged breathing. The humans are not warriors, they are something worse. They do not fight with honor, they do not fight with courage, they fight with patience. They simply wait for you to fall and then they take you. Behind him, footsteps crunched in the snow. A human voice, male, speaking broken Dominion language. You stop, you rest now. Kill me, Draxus said. End this. No, you go home, you tell others. Tell them we do not want war. Tell them what happens when war comes anyway. The footage ended. Sarath sat in silence for a long time. She finally understood what the humans were. They were not the strongest species. They were not the most advanced, but they were the most patient. They had evolved on a world that tried to kill them constantly, and they had survived by refusing to quit. The Void Legion had lost because they expected a battle. The humans gave them a war of attrition instead. And in a war of attrition, the side that could suffer longer would always win. Humanity could suffer forever. The Emergency Council met in the deepest chamber of the Dominion Citadel, far from listening ears and recording devices. 7 admirals sat around a table carved from a single piece of black stone. Admiral Sarath stood before them, her evidence displayed on the central screen. High Sovereign Malachar watched from his throne above them all. Show them, Malachar commanded. Sarath began. She had spent days analyzing every piece of data recovered from the invasion. Now she presented her findings, and with each new revelation, she watched the confidence drain from her fellow admirals. The Void Legion landed with 7,000 soldiers. Within 6 days, all were either dead or captured, not defeated, not scattered, completely eliminated as a fighting force. Admiral Voreth, oldest of the council, spoke first. Impossible. Even if they were outnumbered 1,000 to 1, the Legion would have caused catastrophic damage. They did, Sarath changed the display. Human casualties are estimated at 40,000 soldiers killed, another 100,000 wounded. They paid dearly for their victory. Then we send more forces, Double the legion, triple it. It would not matter. Sarath pulled up a new file. Let me explain what we are dealing with. She showed them human history. Not the sanitized version from the scout reports, but the full record of species that had been at war since before they built cities. The Dominion had existed for 12,000 years. Humans had been fighting for far longer. They had invented weapons specifically designed to kill large numbers of their own kind. Explosives, poisons, diseases, nuclear fire that could burn entire cities. They created weapons to destroy themselves. Admiral Nethara looked disgusted. What kind of species does this? A species that understands war better than anyone in the galaxy. Sarath let that sink in. They call their home a paradise, but look at it. She showed them Earth, beautiful on the surface, but every ecosystem was filled with predators, creatures with venom, plants with toxins, weather that could kill in hours, diseases that could spread through entire populations. Humans evolved on a death world. Everything on their planet can kill them. Instead of going extinct, they adapted. They became the deadliest thing on their world, and then they started fighting each other. Sarath showed them footage of human conflicts. The scale was staggering. Millions dead in single wars, entire regions destroyed, weapons that could crack the planet itself. They have never stopped fighting, she said. Their history is blood. They fight over resources, over beliefs, over borders. Sometimes they fight just because they cannot imagine doing anything else. Admiral Corsus slammed his fist on the table. Then they are savages. We have conquered savage species before. No, you are not understanding. Sarath leaned forward. They are not savages. They are artists. They have made war into a science. They study it. They teach it. They improve it with every generation. She showed them the concepts that humans had developed. Logistics, the ability to move supplies and reinforcements across vast distances. Strategy, the planning of campaigns that lasted years. Tactics, the moment-to-moment decisions that won or lost battles. The Void Legion fights with instinct and strength. Humans fight with their minds. They calculate casualties before battles begin. They accept losses that would break any other species. They plan for failure and adapt when things go wrong. Malachar finally spoke. You paint them as unbeatable, Admiral. Is that your assessment? No, Sovereign. Sarath chose her next words carefully. I believe they can be defeated, but not by force. If we attack them again, they will do what they have always done. They will suffer. They will adapt. They will learn from every engagement, and eventually they will find a way to bring the war to us. Then what do you recommend? Sarath took a deep breath. What she was about to suggest went against everything the Dominion stood for. It would sound like weakness, like surrender. I recommend diplomacy. Silence, the admirals stared at her as if she had grown a second head. The Dominion did not negotiate. The Dominion conquered. Hear me out, Sarath pressed on before anyone could object. The humans did not want this war. They were preparing to explore the galaxy peacefully when our scouts found them. They built their fleet in response to our scouting. They were defending themselves. She showed the final piece of evidence. A transmission from the human government sent as the last Legion soldier surrendered. We don't want war, but we're very good at it. Come in peace and you will find friends. Come in war and you will find extinction. The choice is yours. They are offering terms, Sarath said. They have defeated our greatest warriors, and instead of pressing their advantage, they are offering peace. Malachar considered this. His ancient eyes studied the human world on the display, that small blue marble that had destroyed his legion. You believe they are sincere. I believe they mean exactly what they say. They will be our friends or our end. There is no middle ground. The council argued for hours. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted to flee. Some wanted to pretend the thing had never happened. In the end, Malachar made the decision. We will send a diplomatic team to retrieve our captured soldiers, and we will see what kind of friends these humans want to be. It was the first time in 12,000 years that the Dominion had chosen talk over conquest. Sarath hoped it would not be the last. The human ship arrived at the edge of Dominion space exactly when they said it would. No weapons powered, no shields raised, just a single vessel broadcasting a message of peace. Admiral Sarath watched it approach from her command deck. The ship was small and ugly, built from angles and flat surfaces. But after seeing what human vessels had done to the Void Legion fleet, she knew better than to judge by appearance. "They are requesting permission to dock," her communications officer reported. "Grant it." The human ship settled into the station's hangar bay. Sarath went to meet their guests personally, flanked by two guards who looked less confident than they should have. Word of the Legion's defeat had spread through the military. Everyone knew now. Everyone was afraid. The ship's door opened, and a human walked out. Sarath had studied images of humans, but seeing one in person was different. He was small, barely reaching her shoulder. His skin was dark brown and wrinkled with age. He walked slowly, leaning on a metal stick for support. White hair covered his head in thin patches. This was their representative, this fragile old creature. "Admiral Sarath," the human's voice was warm. "I am Samuel Okonkwo. I speak for the people of Earth. Thank you for agreeing to meet." Sarath led him to a conference room. Her guards stayed outside at Okonkwo's request. "I prefer private conversations," he explained. "Less chance for misunderstanding." They sat across from each other. Sarath studied the human carefully. He seemed completely relaxed, as if he was not sitting in the heart of an empire that had tried to conquer his world. "You are not what I expected," Sarath admitted. Okonkwo smiled. "I am old, weak, I cannot fight or run. That is exactly why they sent me." "I do not understand." "Your people respect strength. You sent warriors to our world because you believed strength was the only thing that mattered." Okonkwo folded his hands on the table. "I am here to show you that strength is not what makes humans dangerous." He produced a small device and placed it on the table. Images appeared. In the air between them, human children playing, families eating together, artists creating beauty, scientists making discoveries. "This is what we are," Okonkwo said. "We build, we create, we love, we raise our young and care for our old. We want what every species wants: safety, happiness, a future for our children." The images changed. War, destruction, human bodies in mass graves, cities burning, weapons that could crack worlds. "And this is what we become when someone threatens those things." Sarath had seen the footage before, but sitting across from this gentle old man made it hit differently. The same species that created art and raised families had also created nuclear weapons and biological plagues. "Why did you spare our soldiers?" she asked. "You had every right to execute them." "Because killing them would not bring back our dead." Okonkwo's eyes were sad. 40,000 humans died defending our world, mothers, fathers, children who will never grow up. We could have taken our grief and turned it into vengeance. We chose not to." "Why?" "Because we are tired of war, Admiral. We have been fighting since before we could write. We have killed more of our own kind than your Void Legion could ever dream of. When we reach the stars, we hope to find something better." He leaned forward. "Your empire sent an army to conquer us, to enslave us, to take away everything we had built. And when we defeated that army, we showed mercy. We healed their wounds, we fed them, we are sending them home." Sarath understood now. The humans were sending a message, but not through threats or displays of power. They were showing the Dominion what kind of species they could choose to be. Mercy was their weapon. Compassion was their strategy. "What do you want from us?" Sarath asked. "Friendship, trade, exchange of knowledge and culture. We want to explore the galaxy beside you, not against you." Okonkwo's voice hardened slightly. "But we need you to understand something first." He showed her one final set of images. Human military forces, ships, weapons, soldiers training, numbers that made her blood run cold. "What you faced on Earth was our defense force, a fraction of what we can build, what we could unleash." Okonkwo met her eyes directly. "We held back, Admiral. We could have used weapons that would have made your Legion's deaths look merciful. We chose not to." "Why tell me this?" Because I want you to know exactly what you are choosing between. Peace with humans means friendship with a species that will stand beside you against any threat. War with humans means extinction, not just defeat. Extinction. We have survived everything our world could throw at us. We will survive you too, and we will make sure no one ever threatens us again. He stood, using his stick for support. The choice belongs to your sovereign. I hope he chooses wisely. Sarath escorted him back to his ship. At the door, he paused and looked back at her. You seem different from the others, Admiral. You listen, you think. If your people choose peace, I hope you will be part of building it. The ship departed. Sarath watched it disappear into the darkness, carrying an old man who had just threatened an empire without raising his voice. She finally understood the truth about humans. They were not dangerous because of what they could do. They were dangerous because they knew exactly what they could do and chose restraint anyway. That kind of control was terrifying. Admiral Sarath volunteered to lead the retrieval mission herself. High Sovereign Malachar had agreed to peace, at least temporarily, and someone needed to bring the captured Legion soldiers home. She wanted to see Earth with her own eyes. Her ship entered the human system with weapons powered down and shields lowered. A sign of trust, or perhaps surrender. At this point, she was not sure there was a difference. Human escorts met her at the edge of the system. Small, ugly ships that could probably destroy her vessel in minutes. They guided her toward the blue world, staying close but not threatening. Professional, controlled. She landed at a facility on the coast of a large landmass. Warm air greeted her as she stepped outside, filled with strange scents and sounds. The sky was blue, the sun bright and yellow, and everywhere she looked, life grew wild and untamed. A human woman waited for her. Medium height, short gray hair, a face marked by scars and years of hard service. Admiral Sarath, I am Admiral Rosa Winters. We spoke during the battle, though the circumstances were different. Sarath recognized the voice. The calm woman who had commanded the orbital defense, who had sent suicide ships into the Legion fleet without hesitation. You killed many of my people, Sarath said. Your people came to conquer mine. I did what was necessary. Winters showed no guilt, no pride either. Just statement of fact. Would you like to see your soldiers? They walked through the facility together. Human soldiers watched them pass, curious but not hostile. Sarath noticed how they moved, alert, ready. Even in peacetime, they carried themselves like warriors waiting for the next fight. The captured Legion soldiers were held in a large building with windows and open spaces. Not a prison, more like a hospital. Medical staff moved among them, checking wounds and offering food. Sarath found Thesic, Draxus's former second-in-command. The massive warrior sat alone, staring at nothing. He barely reacted when she approached. Thesic, I am here to take you home. He looked at her with hollow eyes. Home? What home? We failed, Admiral. The Legion never fails. We have failed. You were defeated by a superior enemy. There is no shame in that. You do not understand. Thesic's voice was barely a whisper. They did not defeat us with strength or numbers. They defeated us with patience. They simply refused to stop. We would kill 100 and 100 more would come. We are bred for war, trained for it, but they are born for it. It is in their blood. He told her about the battle. 3 days of constant fighting. No rest, no mercy. Humans falling by the thousands, but always more coming to replace them. Supply lines bringing fresh weapons and ammunition. Medical teams pulling wounded humans from the field and returning them to fight again. They have perfected war, Thesic said. They have turned it into a machine. We were just fuel. Sarath left him and went to find Winters. The human admiral was waiting outside, drinking something dark from a small cup. Coffee, Winters explained. A drink that keeps us awake. I have consumed too much of it in my life. They walked together through gardens filled with alien plants. Sarath had never seen anything like it. Beauty and danger mixed together. Flowers with thorns, trees with poisonous sap. Life competing to survive. Why did you spare them? Sarath asked. My soldiers came to enslave your people. because killing them would not undo what was done. Winters stopped by a fountain where water fell over polished stones. 40,000 humans died. I knew many of them personally. Good people, brave people, dead because your empire wanted another conquest. You could have taken revenge. Revenge is easy, peace is hard. Winters looked at her directly. We could have killed every Legion soldier and sent their bodies back as a message. Instead, we healed them. We showed them kindness because we wanted you to understand something. What? That we are not monsters. We do not want war. We do not enjoy killing. Everything we did because you gave us no choice. She gestured at the world around them. This is what we want to protect, our families, our homes, our future. We will do anything to keep them safe. Anything. But we would rather make friends than graves. Sarath understood at last. The humans were not showing mercy because they were weak. They were showing mercy because they were strong enough to choose it. They had proven they could destroy the Legion. Now they were proving they could do something harder. They could forgive. The retrieval took 3 days. Hundreds of Legion soldiers, healed and fed, boarded Sarath's ship. Many still seemed broken. Some had formed strange bonds with human soldiers who had captured them. One Legion warrior had learned to play a human musical instrument. On the final day, Samuel Okonkwo came to see her off. The old man looked smaller than before, but his eyes were sharp. I hope this is the beginning, Admiral, not the end. My sovereign has agreed to peace, for now. For now is enough. Peace is built one day at a time. He offered his hand in the human gesture of friendship. Perhaps someday our peoples will look back at this moment and laugh about how close we came to destruction. Sarath took his hand. It was warm and fragile in her grip. Her ship left Earth behind. Through the viewport, she watched the blue world shrink to a dot and then disappear entirely. A small planet, a young species, and yet they had done what no one in 12,000 years had managed. They had shown the Dominion that there were things more powerful than force. Patience, adaptation, the will to survive at any cost. And mercy. Sarath wrote her final report as her ship traveled home. She did not know if peace would last. The Dominion was built on conquest and old habits died hard. But she hoped. For the first time in her long career, she truly hoped. Because she had seen what humans could do when given no choice, and she never wanted to see it again.